One day, I suddenly discovered that I could hear the thoughts of my comatose husband. It's been 2 months already. When am I going to wake up? I'm so hungry. I want some barbecue, maybe seafood. And a trip to the beach wouldn't hurt. As he continued, he even started singing. Whoa, whoa, sunny, 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 sunny. I said, could you keep it down a bit? Some of us healthy people need to rest. What the heck? You can hear me? Come on, talk to me. Cyrus Montague must have woken up, because I could hear his voice rambling on again. The nurse who bathes me is too rough. It'd be great if we could get a different one. What was my wife's name again? She's quite good looking. My butt itches so much. Can someone please scratch it? I'm going to lose it. I was trying to read a book beside him, but he was too noisy, so I reached under the blanket and scratched his butt twice. Suddenly, everything went quiet. I glanced at Cyrus Montague, who lay there with his eyes closed, his face showing no sign of anything unusual. The next second, my ears almost burst. What is this woman doing? Why is she suddenly touching my butt? Oh my God, does she have some kind of weird fetish? She won't even leave a comatose man alone. Wah, if only she could move a little to the right. It's still so itchy. I frowned and scratched a bit more to the right. Can you be quiet now? You can hear my voice? I didn't want to engage with him, so I turned away and continued reading my book. But that only made Cyrus Montague even more excited. I was a little speechless. Wasn't he supposed to be the cold, ruthless villain? Why is he acting like this now? I had transmigrated into this novel just last month. And not just into any character, but the unfortunate role of the villain's substitute bride. The plot of this novel could be summed up in one word. Cliché. I am the illegitimate daughter of the Blackwell family. Originally, it was supposed to be my half-sister, Lavinia Blackwell, the heroine of this story, who was to marry Cyrus Montague. But Lavinia's mother couldn't bear the thought of her precious daughter marrying a comatose man, so I was sent in her place. According to the original plot, after the marriage, I tried every way to seek my own destruction. I even got involved with a minor character, plotting to kill Cyrus Montague and run away with his billions. But unfortunately, Cyrus Montague woke up, and I was quickly written out of the story. The plot then shifted to focus on Cyrus Montague's love-hate relationship with the male and female leads. In short, it didn't really concern me. Since I had no way out, I decided to make the best of the situation and stay in the story. I naturally prefer a quiet life, so having the chance to read books in peace without having to work every day was like living in paradise. So during the day, I would sit in Cyrus Montague's hospital room reading, and at night, I would sleep in the large mansion. I had even planned it out. Once Cyrus Montague woke up, I would explain everything to him and try to negotiate a peaceful divorce. But just a few days later, I was interrupted by Cyrus Montague's constant chatter. At first, I thought he had woken up, so I even called the doctor. But it turned out that I was the only one who could hear his nonsensical rambling. Then I suddenly remembered that someone had mentioned a golden finger when I first transmigrated. I froze in place. Could my golden finger be the ability to hear the thoughts of this villainous comatose man? What good is this useless power? After holding it in for 2 months, Cyrus Montague let loose once he realized I could hear his thoughts. Are you my wife? I think her name was Lavinia Blackwell. Lavinia Blackwell is my half-sister. I'm her younger sister, Moon Blackwell. Oh, I've met your sister. She talks too much. I'm glad she didn't end up marrying me. I have no interest in manipulative girls like her. And he says she talks too much? I think he's the one who talks too much. I rolled my eyes, but before I could say anything, Cyrus Montague started whining. Can you do me a favor? His voice trembled slightly. Do you see if there's a mosquito bite on my butt? It's itching like crazy. I looked at the man lying on the bed. His skin was pale, his features sharp, and there were 2 faint lines between his brows, probably from years of frowning. Thinking about what he was asking me to do, I felt my face flush. This is the last time. Aren't we husband and wife? It's just looking at a butt. Cyrus Montague. Okay, the last time. It's not like I can move. When I can, I won't even let you see if you beg me. I couldn't take it anymore and threw back Cyrus Montague's blanket. I pulled open his hospital gown, only to find that his skin had become even paler from lying in bed. I don't see anything. Move lower. You're not even in the right place. With no other choice, I lowered the gown further and bent over to take a closer look. Just then, the door clicked open. I looked up and found myself making direct eye contact with Cyrus Montague's mother. And to make matters worse, my hand was still in a rather compromising position on her son's butt. Even with my thick skin, I couldn't help but stammer. Mom, Cyrus Montague's mother blushed even more than I did. I understand, I really do. No, she definitely didn't understand. Meanwhile, the blindfolded culprit, unaware of the situation, urged me. Why did you stop? Hurry up. Thanks to Cyrus Montague, his mother became unusually kind to me after that day. She bought me gold necklaces, luxury bags, and even occasionally wiped away tears, saying, "It's the Montague family that has wronged you." To top it off, even the attending doctor called me aside for a conversation. Cyrus Montague's chances of waking up are quite high. You two sharing a room won't affect his recovery, but during this period, you should still try to control yourselves. Control myself? Control what exactly? My urge to scratch mosquito bites on his butt? Returning to the room with a cold expression, I pushed open the door only to hear the instigator complain. Where did you go? It's so boring alone. I couldn't be bothered to reply and picked up my bag to leave. He whined. Why don't you stay tonight? The nurse snores so loudly that I can't sleep. You could always choose to sleep on your own. No way. Hospitals have too much negative energy, and I'm scared to be alone. I rubbed my temples, unable to resist asking, were you always like this? Like what? So loud and talkative. Cyrus Montague was silent for a few seconds before he responded. I prefer to call it being a bright and cheerful guy. How many comatose people do you know who have a mindset as good as mine? He even sighed. You know, I'm handsome and have a great personality. You should consider yourself lucky to have me as your husband. Heh, my sense of humor isn't that low. But I still ended up staying the night. Not because of Cyrus Montague, but because his mother had given me too many gifts, and I felt guilty about accepting them. After learning I was staying, Cyrus Montague actually became shy. Awkwardly he asked, does this count as our wedding night? It's my first time, so if there's anything I don't do well, please bear with me. I looked again at the peaceful man lying on the bed. Did he forget that he was a comatose patient? Lying next to Cyrus Montague, I couldn't fall asleep. The Montague family's current situation isn't good. Cyrus Montague's car accident had affected the company's stock price, and many deals were forced to terminate. Several competing companies seized the opportunity to kick them while they were down, aiming to bring the Montague family to ruin, including my original family, the Blackwells. According to the novel's plot, once Cyrus Montague woke up, he did two things. First, he got rid of me, and then he destroyed the Blackwell family. I felt uneasy, glancing at the clueless Cyrus Montague lying beside me. Would he really kill me? Cyrus Montague must have sensed my gaze as he asked, am I that good-looking? Want to touch? I quickly looked away. No thanks. Recently, Cyrus's mother had been visiting the hospital less and less. It wasn't hard to guess that the company's situation was growing more dire. Everything seemed to be proceeding according to the original plot. This made me even more anxious. I took care of Cyrus Montague with all my heart, fearing that one wrong move would lead to my demise. But despite all my caution, trouble still found me. The whole mess began when a media outlet came to the hospital for a report. A nurse, without meaning to, let slip about how I had been tirelessly caring for my comatose husband. Upon hearing the story, the editor was so moved that he decided to publish a feature that very day titled, Newlyweds Face Tragedy, a wife's devotion to her comatose husband. The article delved into a critique of the modern trend of quick marriages and even quicker divorces, presenting my relationship with Cyrus Montague as a shining example of steadfast love that could weather any storm. It was just a piece of social news, not the kind that would typically cause a stir. But then someone, who knows who, snapped a photo and included it in the article. In the picture, I'm sitting beside Cyrus Montague's hospital bed, reading a book, with sunlight streaming down on us, giving the scene a peaceful, almost timeless quality. The photo quickly made its way online, sparking a wave of discussion among netizens. Wow, with a husband that good-looking, I'd be faithful forever too. This guy looks really familiar. Isn't he the CEO of the Montague Group, Cyrus Montague? I heard he was in a car accident recently. Did he really end up in a coma? But when did he get married? Before I knew it, hashtags like hashtag Cyrus Montague married and hashtag Cyrus Montague coma were trending, blowing up with that little explosion icon on social media. I was completely stunned. Who on earth couldn't keep their mouth shut? I even warned the hospital in advance. Cyrus's mother, looking worriedly at her son, murmured, "Cyrus has always been a private person, hating gossip and tabloid news. Now they're reporting on his illness. How am I supposed to explain this to him when he wakes up?" On the other side, the private person in question was far from idle. "I made the papers. How was the photo? That nurse really should have let you help me do my makeup beforehand." There was even a hint of pride in his voice. "Look at me, even as a comatose patient, I've still got tons of fangirls calling me their husband. Moon, you should feel a little threatened. They can have you. I'd gladly give them to you." Even though the Montague family quickly had the trending topics removed, the news of Cyrus Montague being in a coma was out in the open and couldn't be concealed anymore. A horde of reporters camped outside the hospital, all demanding interviews. "If this keeps up, the rumors will only get worse," Cyrus's mother said, her worry deepening. In just 2 months, she seemed to have aged a decade. Cyrus, able to hear everything from his bed, suggested, "Let's go public." "Are you sure about that? Rather than hiding it, we might as well come clean." "But I'll leave the public statement to you, my dear wife." The day before the press conference, Cyrus Montague prepared a speech for me in his hospital room. It detailed everything about his car accident and his current treatment. Although he spoke calmly, I couldn't help but feel a tight knot in my chest. "When that truck hit you, was it painful?" I asked. "I don't remember," Cyrus replied, his lips tightening. "Actually, the only thought I had at that moment was, great, now I don't have to get married." "But in the end you still got married," I said. His voice carried a hint of laughter. "Yes, and thanks to the accident, I got someone even prettier." The press conference was live-streamed online. I read through Cyrus Montague's speech, and as I finished, I noticed that the live chat had fallen completely silent, and the reporters didn't seem particularly interested. One reporter hesitated before finally asking, "Miss Blackwell, what people are really curious about is your love story with Mr. Montague." Suddenly, the chat exploded with questions about when Cyrus and I got together, whether it was love at first sight, and even some explicit inquiries about how a comatose man handles personal needs. I glanced at the oblivious man lying beside me, my face gradually turning red. We were an arranged marriage. We didn't know each other before, so there wasn't much of a foundation for our relationship. This wasn't a secret in our circles, so the reporter pressed further. "Did you ever think about leaving after Mr. Montague was injured?" I shook my head, mostly because I was too scared to. "Then what made you stay by his side?" the reporter asked. I wanted to say it was because he was the big bad villain who could kill me, but I pretended to think seriously for a moment before replying, "I guess. I found his personality to be quite cheerful and lively." After the event, I breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you for your hard work, dear wife." The sudden voice made me jump, and remembering the reporter's earlier questions, I blushed again. It wasn't hard. I thought the matter was settled, but the next day, hashtag Moon Blackwell press conference was trending on social media. I felt a pang of anxiety. Did I mess up the interview yesterday? No, you were sincere and composed, especially in your heartfelt words about me. Don't worry, even I was moved, so there's no reason for the netizens to give you a hard time. Gathering my courage, I clicked on the trending topic and was immediately greeted by a post that had gone viral. Moon Blackwell. My husband isn't a demon king. He's the eternal sunshine of my heart. What the hell? The comment section was going wild. Cheerful and lively? As much as I like Cyrus Montague, is Moon Blackwell sure she's talking about him? Help, Moon Blackwell, if you're being held hostage, blink twice. This is Cyrus Montague we're talking about. Am I the only one who finds the idea of a comatose CEO x pampered heiress combo strangely appealing? Agreed. That was my first thought too. And just like that, the discussion veered off course, with everyone debating the ship between me and Cyrus Montague. That night, unable to sleep, Cyrus Montague insisted I read him some fanfiction written by netizens under the trending topic. After 3 months of loneliness, Moon Blackwell quietly entered the room. Under the moonlight, she couldn't resist any longer. She lifted the blanket and threw herself onto the peacefully sleeping CEO, unable to hold back anymore. I suddenly stopped reading. Cyrus Montague urged me. And then? What did Moon Blackwell do next? Then Moon Blackwell pulled back the blanket and scratched a cross on Cyrus Montague's butt. Blushing, I turned off the phone. Close your eyes and go to sleep. Cyrus Montague, knowing that wasn't how the story went, huffed in frustration. I'll read it myself once I'm awake. I have to admit, the press conference had an unexpectedly positive impact, even boosting the Montague Group's stock price. Many shipper fans started buying Montague products to support our so-called love story. Just bought a few items from Montague Group, helping Moon Blackwell win over her Comatose CEO. If you guys don't buy, how will Cyrus Montague stay a CEO? If he loses his position, I won't be able to enjoy my favorite romance trope. Some netizens even started reviewing Montague Group's products. I've always bought from Montague, and honestly, their quality beats many foreign brands. More and more people started paying attention to the Montague Group, which unexpectedly helped the company out of its crisis. But while some were happy, others were not. The Blackwell family couldn't sit still after seeing Montague Group's resurgence. A few days later, Lavinia Blackwell came to see me. Moon, I just heard about your marriage. I'm so sorry for you. Her fake sisterly concern made my skin crawl. I handed her a tissue and asked, What are you doing here? I'm here to help you. Lavinia Blackwell sniffled and began to explain. The family insisted on marrying me off to Cyrus Montague, so I ran away to the States out of spite. But I never imagined they would make you take my place. As soon as I heard, I returned home. Moon, I've always treated you like my own sister. Don't worry, I won't let you stay married to someone like Cyrus Montague. I've already talked to father, and he's agreed to let you divorce him. Before I could respond, Cyrus Montague, who had been listening in, let out a low chuckle. Does she take us for fools? The only reason Montague Group is bouncing back is because the netizens are shipping us. Now she's trying to push you to divorce me. Clearly, she wants to see Montague fall. I knew that much too, so I shook my head. No need. I'm actually doing quite well. Don't lie to me. Lavinia grabbed my hand. Her voice urgent. I know you're being coerced by the Montague family. That's why you said those things online. Moon, trust me, Cyrus Montague is not a good man. Hey, just because you're talking doesn't mean you can go around attacking people's character, Cyrus muttered, clearly displeased. Lavinia Blackwell isn't just ugly. She's got a nasty heart too. If this were a fairy tale, she'd be the evil queen, not Snow White's stepmother. Annoyed, I snapped. Can you just shut up? Lavinia was startled by my outburst, her eyes reddening. Moon, don't you believe me? I wasn't talking to you. Never mind, go on. Lavinia seemed to think her bad-mouthing of Cyrus Montague had upset me. To strengthen her argument, she took a deep breath and leaned in closer. Since you feel that way, I won't hide it anymore. She glanced around cautiously to ensure no one else was listening before continuing. Cyrus Montague has violent tendencies. When he was 6, he set his dog on a servant, crippling their legs. That person still has to use a wheelchair. In high school, he burned a classmate's arm with a cigarette, forcing them to drop out. He's been a notorious bully his whole life. I glanced at Cyrus Montague, and I couldn't imagine him doing any of those things. Sure enough, he sneered, my family was actually helping disabled people find jobs back then. The guy feeding the dogs was already disabled. As for high school, some chubby kid was showing off his tattoo, and when the teacher caught him, he claimed it was a burn from a cigarette to avoid punishment. If Lavinia's imagination is this good, she should write novels. It'd probably pay better than whatever she's doing now. There's one more thing, Lavinia whispered. Do you know how his father died? I shook my head. He poisoned his father to take over the family business. Cyrus Montague nearly exploded. Wife, tell her to wait. I'm going to call my old man out of the grave to deal with her. After Lavinia left, Cyrus Montague was still fuming in bed, refusing to speak. Seeing me calmly reading a book as if nothing had happened, he became even more annoyed. Aren't you angry at how she slandered me? What kind of lousy wife are you? I stifled a laugh. Lavinia Blackwell should have been your wife. If you're so unhappy with me, I can help you get her back. Are you saying you want to dump me? Did I say that? Cyrus Montague acted like a husband catching his wife cheating, his voice loud and dramatic. Moon Blackwell, are you trying to abandon me? I was dumbfounded. What am I supposed to take responsibility for? What? Just because I'm in a coma I don't have rights? You think you can check out a comatose man's butt and then not take responsibility? Can we just drop this already? After that day, Lavinia Blackwell didn't show up again, but I had a feeling this wasn't the end of it. Sure enough, a few days later, a stranger blocked my way. Moon, do we know each other? Are you still mad at me? The man looked a bit dejected. The reason I didn't take you away before the wedding was because your father threatened me. You know about my family situation. I couldn't risk my mother's safety. His words sparked a memory, and after thinking hard, I remembered the original plot. You're Ben Bill. You're finally willing to talk to me. Great. The scumbag who tried to convince me to elope and ended up getting me killed has finally made his appearance. By now, Cyrus Montague had been in a coma for 4 months, and according to the timeline, he should be waking up soon. I didn't want any complications at this point. Taking a step back, I said, "Sorry, but I'm already married. Please don't contact me anymore." I thought I'd made myself clear, but Ben Bill started showing up around the hospital more frequently, pestering me with his attempts at reconciliation. Your sister told me you're not happy at all. One day, he followed me all the way to the rooftop of the hospital. He burst into my room and said, "Your father has agreed to let us be together. The biggest obstacle between us is gone. Moon, I don't believe you've forgotten me so quickly." With that, he suddenly pulled me into his arms. "I'm willing to take you away, to a city where no one knows us, where we can start over." Are you out of your mind? I was about to push him away when I suddenly heard Cyrus Montague's voice. Getting cozy in a hospital room. How charming. Ben Bill quickly shoved me aside. Sensing something was wrong, I turned around to see the man who had been lying in bed now sitting up. Why stop now? Is it inconvenient that I woke up and interrupted you too? So this was Cyrus Montague himself speaking? My heart pounded as I rushed to his bedside. You're awake? Are you feeling all right? Cyrus Montague coolly distanced himself from me. There's no need for your concern, Miss Moon Blackwell. You might want to take care of your personal matters before discussing our divorce. Cyrus Montague had woken up. And just like that, my golden finger disappeared. He had no memory of anything that happened while he was in a coma. It was as if that entire experience was just my imagination. Doctors crowded into the room, conducting various tests on Cyrus Montague. All his vital signs are normal. Congratulations, Mr. Montague. You'll be able to leave the hospital soon. The doctor smiled as he added, and congratulations to you too, Miss Blackwell, for finally ending your period of patience. Cyrus Montague frowned at the remark. What patience? The doctor, clearly thinking we had a great relationship, spoke without reservation. Your wife, of course. She was the one who pulled down your pants while you were sleeping. I told her to be patient and wait a bit longer. He even winked at me. Don't worry, I've checked. Everything's perfectly normal. I was mortified. What a big mouth this doctor had. I hurried to explain. It's not what you think. Cyrus Montague shot me a glance. Miss Moon Blackwell, you certainly have quite a few unique tastes. The first thing Cyrus Montague did after waking up was call his company assistant to the hospital to inquire about the company's status. Thanks to Mrs. Montague, everything is running smoothly. My mother. No, your wife. The assistant handed over a phone to Cyrus Montague, playing the video from the press conference. After watching it, his hands shook with barely contained rage. Who gave you permission to hold that kind of press conference and spout such nonsense? He snapped, his eyes blazing with anger. I hadn't even said a word yet, but his accusation rubbed me the wrong way. Considering the news of your injury was already out there, do you think I shouldn't have held the press conference? Cyrus opened his mouth, but no words came out. So, during the press conference, did you find any issues with how I described the events in the speech? Or was it my portrayal of your personality during the Q&A session that bothered you? He remained silent. I raised an eyebrow. If there were no issues with either, then what exactly is your problem? Cyrus, clearly unused to being challenged, was stunned into silence for a moment before huffing, sharp-tongued. I mimicked his tone with a cold snort of my own. Ungrateful. Not wanting to stay in the same room with him any longer, I turned to leave. But before I walked out, I remembered something and pulled a stack of papers from my bag. Here, this was meant to help you fall asleep, but since you're awake now, you can read it yourself. What is it? I flipped open the first page and pointed to the title. Report to Madam. The CEO has turned into a comatose patient again. As I watched Cyrus Montague's face stiffen, I let out a small, satisfied hum. Let's see if this doesn't infuriate you. Perhaps the fanfiction got to him because I didn't see Cyrus Montague for several days. It wasn't until a week later that we met again. He stormed up to me, anger practically radiating off him. Is this what you've been planning? I stared at the man who had been acting like a puffed-up pufferfish since waking up, utterly baffled. What plan? He tossed a stack of photos at me. I picked them up and frowned as I looked through them. They were all pictures of me with Ben Bill. Our first meeting outside the hospital, Ben lurking around the hospital grounds, and even a shot of him forcibly hugging me. The angles were deliberately chosen to create an illusion of intimacy. It was then that I realized Lavinia Blackwell and her cohorts had concocted a new scheme. If they couldn't force a divorce, they would use Ben Bill to fabricate an affair and undermine the popularity of our supposed love story. I vividly remembered how the original character had died, and seeing Cyrus Montague's dark expression now made me a little nervous. The photos are fake. You've been keeping me too busy to have time for secret meetings with anyone. Keeping you busy? He echoed, his tone dripping with sarcasm. I clamped my mouth shut. Cyrus Montague's laugh was cold and mocking. Now you can't even lie convincingly. Are you so sure I can't do anything to you? I couldn't stand his constant sarcasm any longer. Cyrus Montague, are you a split personality or something? You don't really think these things, so why do you keep saying such hurtful things? You were happy to be in the papers. You're more invested in those fanfictions than anyone else. You were jealous when Ben Bill showed up, and you don't actually want to divorce me. So why do you keep pretending otherwise? It's really annoying. Who fed you this nonsense, Moon Blackwell? You did. You tell me nonsense like this every day. I shot back, glaring at him. Believe it or don't, whatever. With that I stormed out. Cyrus Montague stood there for a moment, clearly taken aback, before muttering to himself, "What did I say to make her so mad?" Putting everything else aside, isn't it reasonable for a husband to want an explanation when he sees photos of his wife with another man? I ignored him, throwing over my shoulder, "Come talk to me when you've straightened out what it means to be a husband." Although Cyrus and I were at odds, we both knew that if those photos were leaked, it would cause a public outcry. People are easily swayed, and some don't care about the truth. They only believe what they want to believe. Cyrus Montague was busier than ever, leaving early and returning late, visibly stressed. Meanwhile, I didn't sit idle either. I hired someone to investigate Ben Bill's background, and a few days later, I got some results. My contact hacked into Ben Bill's computer and retrieved his financial records. Half a month ago, Lavinia Blackwell transferred $1 million to Ben Bill's account. After that, he started following you around. I've also got the hospital surveillance footage you wanted. It'll prove you didn't encourage Ben Bill's advances. It was late when Cyrus Montague finally came home. I need to talk to you about Ben Bill. I followed him into the study, laying out the evidence. Here's footage of Ben Bill tailing me and the transfer records from the Blackwell family. Isn't this proof enough of my innocence? I waited for a reaction, but none came. When I looked up, Cyrus Montague was staring at me, his gaze unfocused. I leaned in and sniffed. Have you been drinking? Cyrus held up his thumb and index finger, pinching the air slightly. Just a little. It was confirmed, he was drunk. I started gathering the papers off the table. You should get some rest. We'll talk tomorrow. I turned to leave, but Cyrus suddenly grabbed my arm. You're so mean. His eyes were glassy, filled with a hint of sadness. Why are you mad at me every day? Aren't you the one who's been upset every day, Mr. Unhappy Montague? Clearly, he wasn't in the mood for explanations. You took pictures with another man. Those were fake. And you let him hug you. I pushed him away. I don't care. You're my wife, and I haven't even hugged you yet. What right does he have to do it first? With that, Cyrus Montague pulled me into a bear hug, rubbing his face against my cheek with a contented sigh. You smell nice. It was clear that a drunk Cyrus Montague was far more honest. He clung to his pillow, following me into the bedroom, insisting on sleeping beside me. No way. I nudged the man who was comfortably occupying half my bed. Get off. We're married. Why can't I sleep here? You'll regret it in the morning. No, I won't. In the end, I didn't kick him out because I was curious to see his expression when he sobered up. I bet it would be priceless. Sure enough, the next morning did not disappoint. Cyrus Montague woke up with a look of utter disbelief, as if the sky had fallen. What happened? I propped my head up with a grin, enjoying myself. You climbed into my bed in the middle of the night. You're asking me what happened? I should be asking you. I sighed dramatically. I guess the internet was right. Men can't be trusted. Who would have thought that the seemingly proper Mr. Montague would turn into a sneak thief at night? Cyrus Montague's face grew stiffer by the second. It was an accident. Classic cheater's excuse. I know them all too well. I'll have the locks changed on my room today so that you can't just waltz in and then blame me. When Cyrus Montague left, his expression was so dark it could have dripped ink. After holding it in for half a month, I finally felt a sense of satisfaction. But there was a downside. After that day, I became the plague, and Cyrus Montague avoided me at all costs. I tried to bring up the investigation several times, but he always shut me down with a frosty glare. Even his mother noticed something was off and asked me, "Did you and Cyrus have a fight?" I hesitated before asking, "Mom, have you noticed that Cyrus's personality seems a little strange? Sometimes he's really lively, but other times he's dark and moody. It's like he switches between the two." Cyrus's mother was silent for a long time before she spoke. Actually, Cyrus has an older brother. I was stunned. This was news to me. The book didn't delve much into the villain's family background. All I knew was that the Montague family was wealthy, and after his father's death, Cyrus inherited the business, quickly becoming a rising star. Cyrus wasn't always like this. When he was a child, he was lively and mischievous, always climbing trees and getting into trouble. His brother was the serious one. We always planned for his brother to take over the business and let Cyrus grow up however he wanted. But when Cyrus was 8, his brother passed away. That year, we took them on a trip, and a storm suddenly hit. Cyrus was swimming in the sea when his brother saved him but got swept away in the process. After that, Cyrus completely changed. Out of guilt, he forced himself to grow up overnight, slowly becoming more and more like his brother. So the thoughts I'd been hearing were the real Cyrus Montague? Cyrus's mother's eyes grew misty as she held my hand. At the time, we were all consumed by grief over losing our eldest son. We didn't notice what was happening to Cyrus until it was too late. Moon, I can tell that you're different to Cyrus. If you have any feelings for my son, could you help him? Her words lingered in my mind for a long time. Did I have feelings for Cyrus? At first, I thought I didn't. Getting close to Cyrus Montague was all part of the plot. Pleasing him was purely for my own survival. But when did that change? Maybe it was when Cyrus Montague kept chatting with me, or perhaps when he thanked me and called me wife. Lately, Cyrus had become someone else, but I couldn't help thinking about the other Cyrus Montague, the one who might tease me and insist I spend time with him if he woke up. It wasn't until that night when Cyrus Montague was drunk, clinging to me and saying he missed me, that my heart finally settled. I wanted to tell him that I missed him too. Was this feeling love? That night, I waited until it was late, then grabbed my pillow and ran to his bedroom. What do you want? Nothing. Just came to sleep with you. Don't push your luck. I smiled, my eyes curving. I'd prefer to call it reciprocating. Cyrus Montague's lips twisted into a mocking smirk. Moon Blackwell, do you even know your place? You're just a stand-in bride. Once this media frenzy dies down, we're done. So what you're saying is you want Lavinia Blackwell instead? I pretended to realize something and pulled out my phone. Let me call her for you. I even started dialing. Hey, sis, it's Moon Blackwell. Cyrus Montague says. Before I could finish, Cyrus Montague lunged forward, snatching the phone out of my hand. He glanced at the dark screen and realized he'd been tricked. I took advantage of the situation, wrapping my arms around his waist and blinking up at him. The doctor was right. Then, lowering my voice, I whispered, "You've recovered well." In that moment, Cyrus Montague's face flushed bright red. He couldn't speak for a long time. He stiffly walked to the bathroom, slamming the door behind him. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. It was then that I finally admitted to myself, I liked him. I was really falling for Cyrus Montague. Once I acknowledged my feelings, I stopped holding back. Every few nights, I would go to his room to find him. At first, he put up a front, pretending to chase me away. But eventually he gave in, letting me do as I pleased. One day, I wasn't feeling well, so I stayed in my own room, not moving much. I didn't expect Cyrus Montague to come to me that night. He frowned at my discomfort. "Moon Blackwell, are you a quitter?" His words caught me off guard. It took me a moment to realize that Cyrus Montague was hinting at something. My period started. "I'm taking a day off." As soon as the words left my mouth, the bedroom door slammed shut with a loud bang, startling me. I felt a bit upset. We were supposed to be at least bedmates. So what was the point of being so harsh? But before I could dwell on it for long, the door opened again. Cyrus Montague walked in, his face completely expressionless, holding a pale pink thermos in his hand. "Brown sugar water," he said flatly, placing the cup on the nightstand with a solid thud. "My mom asked me to give it to you." "Oh well, thank your mom for me." Cyrus stood there for a moment, staring at me. Then he pressed his lips together and walked out again. Around midnight, as I was lying in bed watching a drama, the door opened once more. It was Cyrus Montague again. "When you're not feeling well, you shouldn't stay up late," he said, his voice carrying a hint of reprimand. Feeling a bit annoyed, I couldn't help but snap back. "Did your mom say that too?" Without responding, Cyrus strode over, snatched the iPad from my hands, and then scooped me up, blankets and all, into his arms. "What are you doing?" I asked, startled. He didn't answer, just carried me back to his room and placed me on the side of the bed I usually slept on. "Close your eyes and go to sleep," he ordered, still expressionless. Those words sounded so familiar. Isn't that what I usually say when I'm trying to get him to sleep? I have to admit, my sleeping companion strategy was working. I could clearly sense a change in Cyrus Montague's attitude toward me. Though he wasn't as chatty as he was when he was in a coma, at least he was acting like a normal person. Just as life was becoming more harmonious, the photos of me and Ben Bill were leaked. And Lavinia Blackwell added fuel to the fire. She beat me to the punch by accepting a media interview. Tearfully, she spoke into the camera. "This is all my fault, not Moon's. She only married Cyrus Montague because she was forced to take my place. If I hadn't run away, she wouldn't have had to separate from the man she loved or marry Cyrus Montague. If you must blame someone, blame me, not my sister." The internet exploded. A substitute bride? Is this really happening in the 21st century? Rich families are so messed up. This is such disgusting PR. They're nothing but a couple in name, and yet they're milking this ship for money while doing whatever they want on the side. I don't even know who to feel sorry for. Maybe I should just feel sorry for myself for wasting money on shipping them. Soon enough, #B and #Moon Blackwell substitute bride were trending, with #Lavinia Blackwell also climbing the charts. I was suddenly and completely infamous. The online insults took on new and creative forms. A bastard is a bastard. Lavinia Blackwell is so much more refined, unlike Moon Blackwell. Is it just me, or does this whole substitute bride thing seem like Moon Blackwell orchestrated it herself? She probably just wanted to marry into a rich family. She played her cards well, married a comatose husband, got the money and fame, and still got to fool around with her lover. But she didn't count on her husband waking up. Cyrus Montague walked over and took my phone from me. "Stop reading that." "I'm fine," I said with a shrug. "It's just amusing. I'm just an ordinary person. How did I end up being roasted by the entire internet?" "It's my fault for not handling things properly," Cyrus said, sitting beside me. "I'll prepare a statement for you, outlining the entire timeline. If necessary, we'll hold another press conference." "You're going to write the statement too?" "Yes." I thought for a moment, then shook my head. "No, let's not. I don't want to face the cameras again." Cyrus was silent for a moment before he spoke. "Don't worry this time, Your husband will handle the press conference personally. At first, I didn't think much of his words. But a few minutes later, I replayed the conversation in my mind and suddenly realized, Cyrus Montague, did you remember something? Remember what? Cyrus asked, not looking up as he continued to focus on his computer. The bit about scratching across? He remembered. I was both surprised and delighted, standing up in excitement. When did you remember? Cyrus finally stopped what he was doing, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. After that night when I got drunk. So it had been that long. Then why didn't you tell me? Why did you keep letting me come to your room every night? He looked slightly embarrassed. I went to your room too. Grinding my teeth, I decided on the spot that I was going to give him the silent treatment. Cyrus Montague pulled me onto his lap, apologizing softly. I'm sorry, wife. But your husband has some pride too, you know. Thinking about the way he acted back then, I couldn't help but laugh. You did some pretty embarrassing things. We laid out all the evidence according to the timeline and posted it online, leaving Lavinia Blackwell with little room to retaliate. After some discussion, Cyrus and I held an online press conference together to explain the entire incident to the public. One reporter asked, is it true that Moon Blackwell was a substitute bride? Cyrus Montague didn't avoid the question. Yes, it's true. His voice was cold and clear. The marriage arrangement with the Blackwell family was made by our parents. However, I had no interest in Miss Lavinia Blackwell and planned to refuse. But before I could do so, the accident happened. Out of concern for her son, my mother wanted to push the wedding forward, hoping for some good fortune. The Blackwell family, not wanting to marry their daughter to a comatose man, decided to send my current wife, Moon Blackwell, in her place. Cyrus smiled slightly. I'm deeply grateful to my in-laws for making that decision, as it allowed me to find the person I truly love. The reporter then turned to me. Miss Blackwell, we previously asked you the same question. Now that Mr. Montague has woken up, has your answer changed? I smiled and shook my head. No, I still love the cheerful and lively Cyrus Montague. With the truth out, the Blackwell family was once again the target of public outrage. Eventually, someone dug deeper and uncovered financial disputes involving the original character's father, dragging him into a legal battle. With Cyrus Montague's earlier suppression and the shifting tides of public opinion, the Blackwell family's business quickly fell apart. I couldn't help but feel a bit melancholic. Lavinia Blackwell was supposed to be the protagonist, yet here we are. Is this what they call the villain's victory? It was then that I realized something. Lavinia Blackwell is the heroine, so who's the male lead? I have no recollection at all. Lavinia Blackwell is getting married, Cyrus Montague announced one day when he came home, bringing with him some shocking news. To whom? The owner of the John Gill Group. The John Gill Group. It sounded like a big company. I figured the male lead had finally made an appearance, so I asked. He must be quite handsome, right? After all, he was supposed to be the male lead. Cyrus Montague shot me a look and pulled up someone's social media profile on his phone. This guy. I stared at the picture of a balding pot-bellied man who had to be at least 60. There must be some mistake. He's an old man. The Blackwell family isn't doing well. She's lucky to have an older man willing to marry her at this point. I wasn't ready to give up. Does he have a son, maybe a handsome one? After all, the stepmom literature trend is still quite popular. Cyrus Montague's expression darkened. Is your comatose husband not enough for you? Now you're thinking about someone else's son. That's not what I meant. I was just being serious. Before I could finish, Cyrus lunged at me. A few hours later, he finally let me go. Are you satisfied now? Still thinking about anyone else? I wasn't even thinking about anyone else. I rolled my eyes, not bothering to argue with him. Cyrus Montague leaned in closer. Wife, there's something I've always been curious about. The first time I asked you to check out my butt, what did you think? I recalled the moment and couldn't help but smile. White. Really white. Like a big steamed bun. Cyrus Montague. The end.